Welcome, coaches. Hey, real quick, sorry about the delay. It took a while for my kid to get down. We took a long nap, but we're here, and we're going to be talking single wing offense. Coach Teague is here. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. And any questions that you have, you ask tonight, we will dive into it. Coach, here's my first question. Why the single wing?
Wow. Well, one.
Start off with a banger.
Well, for one, I played running back when I played ball, and I've always loved the physicality of football, and the just lining up, coming downhill, the days of where you had a fullback in the backfield and so forth. I miss those days and the purity of football from that perspective. But from a coaching point of view, it was like many coaches. The old saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you line up with a high school team and you got 50 kids and no one can catch a football, all that air raid stuff goes out. The ideas go out of the window. So that's basically what happened. Honestly, I had a lot of kids that couldn't catch a ball, but I had running backs for days, and it just kind of worked. I remember seeing something on Rick Darlington.
Yes.
A while back, years ago, probably back as far as 2013, 2012. And I was intrigued by it. And when it was time for me to figure out what to do, I went to some of his stuff and kind of molded it into my own and went from there.
Okay. I love that. And coaches, if you have any questions, again, put them in the chat. Viking Cast, thank you for the shout out, man. I appreciate that. Any OCs in here? Yes. Now here's the thing. Okay, so you got the job. Where did you want to go spread and throw air raid, and then after like the first or second practice you saw that everyone had 4 feet and you're like, oh crap, I need to do something else? Or were you always intrigued by it and you were like, you know what, they're throwing the ball around, they really can't catch, let's just go all in on this offense?
It was a combination of both. I cut my teeth as a defensive coordinator, and I always knew when teams came out and spread. I worked with a guy who was a Franklin system guy, and I could always line up to and adjust to a lot of the spread concepts. But what always gave me fits was a team who lined up, the wing T guys, the I formation guys. It gave me fits when those chains are moving 4 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 3, and you can't stop it. It's demoralizing. So I was always intrigued by it. And when I saw Darlington stuff years ago, I said, no one else is running this. And that kind of got the wheels going.
Okay. What was it? Was it just the formations that got the wheels moving? Because from my small, minute knowing of the single wing, it is, there's not any blocking schemes that a lot of coaches don't already know. It's more of the formations and like, do you do the twirling motion and everything like that? Was that what drew your attention, or what was it where you were like, this shit is good? I want that.
I watched a play in particular. I don't know which one it was. I think Darlington calls his the 8. Maybe 8 bang is I think what he calls it. And it's really just power. And it's sending basically the 49th Cavalry into the C gap. And it's downhill in your face. And as simple as that sounds, it intrigued me to death. I watched high school kids just back up. And I watched the mindset of his kids and how they were just excited, blowing people off the ball. And that's what intrigued me.
Okay. And so let's go to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did they react when you came in and you were like, okay, this is the offense, this is what we're going to run? Did you have any of them complain and move out, or were they just the moment you told them this is what we're doing, they were all in 100%?
Well, a lot of mine was fate and things working the right way. When I came to Bolton High School, just to give you a little bit of background, Bolton High School was a powerhouse in the 80s and 90s, and as recent as around 2000, 2001. Well, rezoning happened, open enrollment kicked in, and the program went down.
Yeah.
They hadn't had a winning season until when I arrived there in 2016 since 2001.
Oh, wow.
It was 15 years of
Losing.
futility. It was terrible. And when I got there, those kids were starving for just anything. It was so bad. I remember when I did a little bit of homework on them, the 2015 season, out of 10 games, they had 70 points scored on them 5 times. It was bad. And so when I came in, they really didn't care
what you did,
what I did. They just wanted to win. And they didn't know a lot of football. I tell people this joke, but it's the truth. I had a kid that I tried to get my offensive lineman or my defensive lineman to get a little lower in short yardage situations. So I told my assistant coach, I said, guys, we're going to have to get them in a 4-point stance. And those kids literally looked at me and went and put 4 fingers down. It was that bad. So I found out with kids, especially with this group, that when the group that was there when I got there, they just wanted to win. And if it meant getting in that end zone, however you needed to get in there, whether it was by a pass or a run, they just wanted to get in there and experience some form of success. And a single wing fit them well.
Okay. And when you move to that, I'm sure you moved to it twofold. One, you probably still have that defensive mentality of I want to control the clock and keep my defense off the field as long as possible. And 2, how long did your kids, or were you in that system until your kids tasted success? Was it like instant, like the moment you did it, you started moving the ball and scoring a lot of points and people were like, holy crap? Or did it take some getting used to before they finally tasted success?
It took some getting used to. It took about 2 years.
Okay.
Before it finally started clicking. There was some buy-in I had to get with a few parents. You know how that goes.
Yes.
Everybody thinks their son is getting ready to sign with Alabama or LSU, so you need to throw the ball to him. And don't even get me started on that. No, it took a couple of years, but once the kids got the buy-in, it took off. It took off.
Okay, kind of like a flywheel. Once they started seeing success, they bought in more, and the more they bought in, the more success they had, and over.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Awesome. All right, so we got some questions real quick. Here we go. Coach Harmon wants to know, how hard is it to predict what defensive looks you will get with an unbalanced line? So how do you go about game planning? That's a very good question, Coach. I'm glad you brought that up. To me, I mean, in the spread, we would like practice against an even front, and then the team would come out in an odd front, something they've never shown. I can only imagine what it's like for you, since you're so contrarian and you don't do the normal stuff. So how do you practice, like, from week to week? Do you just like practice everything, or are you more focused on this is what we do and they have to stop it?
As simple as this sounds, we practice what we do, and because you never get the same look, you never get a very uniform look. We don't even recognize odd and even fronts like you would if you were lining up in like normal.
What do you recognize? Like how? Oh, okay, just you don't have to tell. Like, give us an overview. What's your huddle look like when you're breaking down an opponent? Do you even look at huddle for your opponent, or are you just getting like personnel? Like, okay, this guy's pretty good, this guy's not. Like, what's your thought process?
As crazy as it sounds, when we get in the huddle, I don't even look at their defense. We're strictly planning for offense, simply because in the unbalanced single wing, our blocks are SAB blocks, severe angle blocks. We're stepping at 30 degrees on our down blocks, and we're moving people because we never know. We're not going to get a traditional 4-2-5, 3-4 bear front, anything that we could look at it and go, okay, this is how we're going to attack this week. So we always get some type of bastardized defense every week.
I bet.
And so one of the things we do, Coach told me I was crazy for doing this, but it works. Whenever we go Team O, I'll put 13, 14 kids over on defense.
I love that. That's the basketball approach.
Yeah. And
If you, hey, as bad as this sounds like dodgeball, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Right.
If you can move the ball on 13 or 14 kids, you'll be able to move the ball on 11. I love that, man.
We never have went against a scout D with less than 13 kids on defense, ever.
Well, okay. I'm sure the coaches gave you a lot of pushback. What did the kids do? Like, do you hear? Because in my mind, when I hear that, it does two things. One, you never know what you're going to get. So your kids are getting used to not knowing. But two, I bet that also builds confidence with your kids. Like, hey, we're moving the ball against 14 people. There's literally 3 people we can't block, and we're moving it. Is that what happens, or or do they complain a lot about it?
No, they don't complain a lot about it. And again, I think a lot of it is the mentality that these kids had when I arrived. The program was so down, and they wanted some semblance of success. So the turning point came for us when we were in practice one day, and we were working 10 and in, going for the 10-yard line in. And I had a receiver that was he was the only receiver that could catch a ball. And he was about 6'2", 6'3". He kept saying, "Coach, we should throw fade routes down here. Throw me a fade route. Throw a fade route. It's open." And so I picked him up and took him in the gym. I said, "All right, come here." We walked into the basketball gym, and I said, "All right, from the 10-yard line, here's the fade route." And I told him to stand 3 feet behind the three-point line and try it 10 times to see how many times he made that shot. He made about 3 of them. I said, "Okay, take that ball, get on one side of the block, and give me 10 layups." He made 9 of them. I said, "Lining up in this is a layup." And one of the things I found out, a lot of coaches, as crazy as it sounds, never really fully adjust right to an unbalanced line. I've seen so many coaches. It's not a knock on any coaches whatsoever. But in my experience, it's not the coach, it's the kids. They never fully align right. And even when they do, those severe angle blocks opens up those gaps. And it's just the physicality of it that makes it work.
What do you normally see? Like, do they adjust too far to the unbalanced side and leaving the backside wide open, or do they not adjust at all? And you're like, "Oh my God, is this defensive coordinator that dumb? Thank you. I'm going to take this all night."
We see more than anything, I've seen basically like a 10-1 is the best way I can describe it. Like they will line everybody up in there and just eliminate a second level altogether. Or they'll come out like I don't know. I don't even know the name of these bastardized defenses, like an 8-2 or something. I don't know. The closest one, in the youth league, they run those, what do you call them? Gap, is it gap 6, gap 8?
Yeah. Or they put everybody in a gap.
Yeah, that's probably the closest thing we'll see.
And does that help you? Or are you like, "Thank you," because now that makes gap down backers super easy for my kids, because now they have a legit guy in this gap?
Yes, I salivate.
All right, I have to ask, what happens when you see everybody in the box, do you immediately go, "Okay, now is the time to throw it"? Or are you like, "Okay, these guys are going to hate us because we're just going to overpower them and still run it"?
I'm a little hard-headed.
You're defensive.
I'm going to line up and run it right at you. Because you take a 16-year-old kid that's failing algebra, got girlfriend problems, hates their mom, and I'm going to run downhill at you and tell you, "I know you're right there. We're going to still run it at you." That's demoralizing.
Yeah. And they give up.
They give up. Now, granted, not to sound like I'm Hercules or anything, but when we play the teams that their gym is better than my Joe's, then yeah, of course, I got to be strategic about it and take a shot here and there.
Nice. Okay. Well, here we go. Hold on. Here we go. We got another question. Coach Randy, and guys, we're going to show film in a minute. And actually, this is probably a good segue into it. What traditional single wing series do you run? Buck lateral, spin, straight? Do you run anything non-traditional? So if day one, what do you install?
Straight, unbalanced single wing.
Okay. Do you have any film of that? Because I have no idea. Like what's if I was to say, "Coach, you can only run one play, like this is your bread and butter play," what play is that?
It's what I call smash for us.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a clip of one of our installs in it.
All right, let me bring that up right there. There you go, coaches. And again, coaches, while he's bringing this up, Coach also has a single wing DVDs out. There's in the description below, and then after this, it'll be in very first pinned comment. It is all on the single wing. If you have any questions, put them in the comment. Now, what are we looking at, Coach?
All right, this is what I would consider our traditional single wing. Now, it's kind of zoomed in. I have a receiver standing out to the outside. The one adjustment we made with ours is that I pull the entire world into this hole. I've watched teams, when I studied the single wing, I always felt like they were wasting that nub side background, the nub side lineman on the nub side. So number 90 right here, in normal traditional single wing, he's stepping in, hinging in, and then the guard is pulling. I'm pulling him in the hole. And we've worked with our kids. We messed around with it. I worked with them, and I said, you know what? If we can get that backside guy, quicker guy into that hole, oh my God. So when you see this, this is year 2 install after we put it in the first year. You want me to let it play full speed or
whatever you want, man? This is I am learning, because I'm gonna be honest, I am a 100% newbie when it comes to the single wing. The only thing I know is what I see the old school films.
All right, I'm gonna put it on a loop. I think I do that.
And while you're doing that, Dylan says we just switched to the single wing this year and we love it. And he also wants to know, do you formation much at all, or do you stay very traditional single wing formation?
We do formation. We tinkered around with some stuff. Matter of fact, we were playing a team in a scrimmage, a very well coached private school, and he adjusted well. And so we worked with moving an extra receiver over to kind of keep that. What we found out, a lot of times teams were wrong arming us and making it spill. So we have an answer for that. But when the other team is a little bit better than us, just like in traditional spread, you got to formation people to get things to open up. And so we'll take our X receiver and move him over.
Okay.
And we'll have an X and Y out to one side. It forces somebody out of there to make it open up. And I think I have a clip of that I can show as well.
So let me see the 12-man pull to the right. That's going to be amazing. So was this something like you were just tinkering with?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Student body right has a new definition.
There's 4 people up in one hole in the back running behind him.
Yeah, there's not, and those are some big dudes right there.
Yeah.
So when you ran that in the game, what happened? Was it just an automatic touchdown?
No. No, it wasn't an automatic touchdown. Trust me, there's a lot of bad with it as well. We run it more times than not, just the sheer mass of it. We have a rule. Let's get 5 yards. Forget 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I want 5 every single solitary time. It's non-negotiable. When we run this in practice, if you don't get me 5 yards, the whole offense pays for it.
Oh, wow. So
we want 5 yards every single solitary time, because if I tell you 5, you're going to give me 3. It's kind of like telling the kid to run a 14 back to 12 comeback. You tell him 17 to 15, so he'll run the 14 back to 12.
Yes. Got to overcompensate for it. I like that. So that is called strike?
That's called smash.
Very fitting.
So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. So basically we get them coming down in unison. If you're going to notice, we're going to have backside guard and backside tackle pulling, and it should be a front side guy. You got a sniffer guy right here that's going to be kicking out. This guy comes down the first inside linebacker. He's going to block down the first thing he sees inside. He should kick. He should pull up in the hole. Guard should pull up in the hole, and these 2 backside guys should pull. Everybody's stepping at a severe angle block of 30 degrees.
Okay. Coach has a question about 36 off the edge. What happens if he comes off the edge? Do you have, how do you hold that guy if they're blitzing? And that's something like I've seen a lot of teams bring, I know you've seen it, like the Saw blitz, they just bring everybody off the edge. How do you control that guy in the offense?
Well, traditionally, in traditional single wing, this guy here with number 90, he would step and hinge.
Okay.
And so if we get somebody coming off the edge that's a chaser like that, and he's just a war daddy and he's just coming, then we'll step and hinge with it. Okay. But we work a rabbit drill where I literally would take a kid right here and I bring him all the way down and we rep the piss out of this to get these guys to get in there faster, to make them understand somebody's right behind you. It makes this guy go faster.
Okay.
So we actually rep that. Fortunately, in the time we've done it, the protector of it is the counter coming that way. So we run a counter to kick his ass out of there in case he wants to get a little nosy. And so to that extent, we haven't had much of a problem with it.
Okay. That's just, good God. Okay, so the counter off of that. Now, is that the base formation? And again, guys, if you're watching, I'm sorry, total newbie. It's center. Do you have a strong side and a quick side?
Not really. Not like traditional wing tee. Okay. Well, we have this guy right here is usually an eligible. He's like a tight end. He's my ex.
Okay.
All right. When I want to go smash, I just put a lineman in there. I tell the defense, I'm not going to throw it to him. He's blocking. This is the traditional left guard, the center who's covered up right here. You can't see him. This is a right guard, right tackle, and number 10 is a heavy tackle, literally. We call him the heavy tackle because we find the kid that can't
to have 10 as his number.
Yeah, you can tell he must have left his jersey at home that day or something and grabbed one of the back's jerseys. But we find this kid right here is vital. You find your best kid that can't pull, the kid that just can't pull and run. And this kid couldn't pull or run to save his life, but he could block down and wash down the side of the line. So I have another clip in there.
Where do you put your best player? Like if I have one dude and I want to put him in this offense, where is he the quarterback or is he this? Is it QB1 and QB1B? Like how does that work? They're side by side, right?
They're side by side.
Okay. And is one like predominantly the quarterback? They're running. I guess y'all don't have a quarterback, right? It's just it's a running. So is it running back A and running back B?
You basically, these two guys are H's, what I call the H's in my backfield. They're both running backs, and the kid right here is the one who can actually throw a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Is that the one right there, number 7? Is that your best guy, or is number 2 your best guy? Does it matter which one you put them at? Like, do you evenly distribute the ball, or is one going to get more touches than the other?
In the traditional, for what we run the single wing, either way, as long as I'm running it, the best way I can say this is that it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Now, when I start showing my spin stuff, it matters because you have to have one kid in there that can execute that spin. And so this kid right here was able to do both, but for the most part, they're about the same.
Okay. Okay. I would love to see your counter. Do you have a counter?
Yeah, let me pull up a counter for you.
Is it is it a double handoff counter?
No, it's just a handoff.
Oh, I'd love
one handoff.
Reason I've fallen in love with the counter last year, and I love every counter, variation of counter, everything like that. All right. And this Harmon, this pulls it up. Counter, how do you attack the nub side? I'm guessing is counter like your main attack in the nub side?
Yeah, I have a counter off of it. I also have we have a belly off of it actually. When teams load up on our unbalanced side, where number 2 is right here, he'd be getting the ball. We cross block with belly on that nub side, just like traditional wing tee belly. The sniffer back leads up in there. This kid seals on the outside in case we get a little bit of rush, and the ball goes right to him. Our quarterback, our center, actually snaps it at an angle right there to him. We have to teach that.
How difficult is that to teach?
It wasn't very hard. It takes some time. I mean, you have to invest in it, but we didn't run belly a whole lot because we had so much success out of just our regular stuff. Let me find a counter for you.
Okay. And coaches, if you have any questions, again, put them in the comments. If you're finding this valuable at all, if you could give us a thumbs up on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, or a like if you're watching on Facebook, I really appreciate it and everything like that. Let's see, while Coach is getting this, we have a bunch of coaches in here. Vikings, Mr. Thomas says, we're trying to go wing tee at a school at work in New Orleans, a lot of 6, 7, and 8. What is that? Is that how y'all call the plays, 6, 7, and 8?
Yeah. When we've changed the terminology up a little bit. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give you a little bit of credit, a lot of credit. I watched one of your videos however long ago on one word concepts.
Nice.
And I did. And I remember it was all about spread stuff. And I said, So for whatever reason, I was watching a video of a coach in Maryland that was running this. And I said, we're going to call this Maryland. And to the strong side, we're hitting the 6 holes. We just said, okay, Maryland right, 6. That was the name of the play. If we lined up unbalanced to the left, it was Maryland left, 7.
Nice.
So, but here's an example of our counter. If you look, you can tell also, to answer your question. Tell me what defense that is. You can't tell me. There's no, you can't tell us odd or even front or anything. We don't know what we're going to get. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I consider that a 10-1. I mean,
I would just call it a loaded box.
A loaded box, exactly. So in this one, we've been having a lot of success going to the right with our smash or our 6 play. And all that's going to happen is this kid here is just going to take the ball. This kid sells the action right here. We tell all our kids, 1 fake is as good as 3 blocks. You'll hold 3 people.
Yep.
Quarterback gets H gets the snap. They're just going to pull and block down and kick out. He's going to hand it right to this wing right here.
Oh, goodness. Now, okay, do you try to evenly distribute the balls? Like, I know a lot of spread teams are like, okay, the X has to have a certain amount of touches, the tailback, the slots. Are you the same way, or are you just like, hey, it may be this game, my quarterback may have a lot of touches because it's so good, and then the next game we may have a lot more counters, so the wingback may get the ball. What's your philosophy when it comes to play calling?
It's a feel. Now, when we get ready to prepare for a team, we do try to find, the weaknesses and so forth. And we feel like this kid number 10 was our fastest kid. And we wanted to make sure we got the ball in his hands a lot on the counter. He wasn't very strong enough. He wasn't strong enough to hit it up inside and pound it like we needed him to. But we knew he would give us an advantage on that counter. So we ran counter a lot this game with him. So a lot of us feel. There have been times I've had games where one kid runs the ball a few times and he gets up and he's hitting his chest, and my assistant will go, coach, he's feeling it. Keep feeding him. So we just kind of go off of the field, really.
Okay.
Here's another counter here. They're not always plays are good.
No, that's the best. I love when coaches do that. I think we can all agree. We hate going to clinics and
oh my God,
got 11 D1 athletes and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and we're like, I can't do that. I don't have those guys.
Oh, I know. I mean, I learned nothing from them. They got $40 million stadiums and
they got their own field house.
Right. Trust me.
All right, we got another question. Okay, Dylan wants to know, we are seeing a lot of heavy 6 techniques. We have a hard time kicking them out. How do you attack teams with a heavy 6?
Okay, this is how I attack a team with a heavy 6. I'm going to show you that formation I was talking about, that formation adjustment. Let's figure out where I put that.
Okay. And while you were doing this, if you're watching on Facebook, if you could, there's a link in the comments. If you click it, we can see your beautiful face. I don't know who said this, but I love this page. I appreciate it. Coach also says check out Tim Murphy from Clayton Valley Charter, California. He runs single wing pretty well. He's also known for the double wing as well. While you get that formation up, I'm curious. You didn't come up in like play in those single wing and stuff like that. How difficult was it as a play caller to learn the ins and outs that first or second year when you decided to go all in with it?
It actually wasn't that hard. I mean, it was. I'm gonna take that back. It was hard trying to get those kids to understand the severe angle blocks. That was probably the hardest thing because they were falling over themselves. Now you're telling the kid take a quick, his first 2 steps as alignment are the most important 2 steps he's got to take. They got to be quick, got to be precise. So when I was in a wing T system and, with the gap down, backer blocking, guys were coming forward more with their down blocks. And these kids are having to step
almost lateral.
Almost lateral. Exactly. So that was the hardest part, just the alignment, the backs, and getting that time meshed up with the backs because I had some fast backs. And I heard Pete Carroll say one time, you never slow down a speeding bullet. No. When he was talking about Reggie Bush when he had him playing with him. And so that was the hardest part, just getting that timing down with the backs and the offensive line.
Okay. Did you ever, and this is just me personally wanting to know, did you ever question yourself in this? Like maybe like when you didn't have immediate success, did you ever feel like, okay, maybe I should go the traditional route and spread or go back to the wing T because that's what I knew? Or were you just like, man, F this, I'm do or die single wing, that's all?
It's funny you say that because we did have a game one night where we lost and it was pretty handily. It was like 31-17 or something like that. And on the sidelines, like many coaches, I'm in my mind thinking, you know what, it's week 3. Are we going to have to scrap this and try something new? And as we were coming across the field, the opposing defensive coordinator said, Coach, whatever you do, don't change up that offense. He said, you lost tonight because you had 45 kids and we had 90 kids. Don't change up what you're doing. He said, let them keep getting better at that. And that was in the first year I put it in. And that's what sold me on the fact that I need to just keep going, keep getting better, and maybe stick with it. So to answer the question about the 6 technique, that's how we'd answer a 6 technique. You remove it. You make it a go 6. So you bring that X over. If you notice, I only have one lineman on the side of the center right here. And you go guard, and you got – so this kid here who otherwise would be a 6, he's looking at a wing right here. It opens up that gap right there. I was coaching against a double wing guy, and I went to a double wing coach and said, man, how do I stop that stuff? He said, you line somebody up in a head up 6, and you tell them to stand right there and don't move. The ball's going to come right to him. I said, huh. And sure enough, somebody did that to us. And I said, okay, I got to figure this out. So you detect somebody has to move with this X over set right here.
Now, did someone tell you this, or is this something you just stumbled upon like yourself?
This was a halftime adjustment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was an adjustment I made at halftime where I said, you know what, they were wrong arming us like crazy. And they had a head up 6. They had a head up 6, and I said, I got to get him out of there. I got to make him do something different. And I don't even know what play this is. We ran out of this.
And did that make all the difference? Good Lord. Good Lord. Don't know. You're sandbagging us. You don't know what play it is. You do.
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I promise I didn't know what play that was at that time.
Do you ever find that, though? Like, to me, the single wing is everybody's running to a point, and then the next thing you know, your dude just shoots out of there because there's just a mass of bodies. Does that happen a lot, or is this just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it just seems like that is like a byproduct of this offense.
What happens with this offense is usually, like you're saying, it's pound, 6 yards, 8 yards, 7 yards, and then boom, you feel a big long run like this. So you rarely get the one where it's just a big popping play. The counter is the one that usually pops immediately because so much emphasis is placed on trying to stop the ball on the unbalanced side.
Okay. And two things. One, going back to your story. I bet that coach, if you still play him, hates that he told you that little words of encouragement. And he's like, damn it, why did I tell Mark that? I shouldn't have. And then
no, he's actually a good friend of mine. So
well, you need to slap him on the butt next time and say thanks, man. And then two, how do you I've always wondered in offenses like this, when you're kind of like third and medium, third and long, do you automatically go to a pass? Like, do you have a pass there, or do you have long runs that you equate to long passes?
We have it depends on the down and distance on the field a lot of times. Okay. It's been third and long, and I've run the ball and either settled on the fact, you know what, we're just going to punt it and change field position, or you give me fourth and short enough, they're going to sell out to stop the run, and I can throw a pass over the top to, let's see, I think I have a clip of one of those where, because we don't pass the ball very much, but when we do,
it's very effective.
It's pretty effective.
Even with your guys that have 4 feet and can't catch?
Yeah. We had one kid that actually could catch a little bit. So for example, here's here I think this is actually, if you look at the mark, it's fourth down right here, and we're actually going for it on fourth down here. It's about 4th and 7. I think this is an incomplete pass, but you'll see.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Everybody was open.
Everybody was open because they're selling out on the run. He just hit the wrong receiver then. 14 was wide open down the field down here. No one was
it has to make you mad because you're like, everyone's open but that kid.
Right.
And you decided to throw it to that kid.
That would have been an air raid dream right there. 4 receivers down the field against 3 defenders.
I know. I'm sure you had people in the stands like, Coach, you feeling okay? You just went 4 verts.
Right.
All right. We've got another question. Jason wants to know, does your kids have any issues with stemming D-line and linebackers blitzing gaps of the pullers? Great question, Jason.
We don't see much stemming at all. So we haven't had an issue with that. But we have had a problem with linebackers just shooting gaps and just blitzing. We have had that problem when it's done effectively, the right way. It does cause us problems. Therefore, we had to put certain things in, like the screen, quick passes out of the backfield. This team right here, they loaded up and they just said, we're going to blitz everything. And we actually called this next play right here was a pass, but we were assuming there was a blitz. They were usually sending these 2 guys screaming up the B gaps every single solitary time. And so we called a pass here to try to slow it up, but they backed people up, and it was still pretty effective.
Good. That was a nice pass.
Now, people think you can't throw out a single wing. You can throw out of it.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's more demoralizing to give up a long pass to the single wing than it is to give up a long run.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because, we're not supposed to be throwing.
No, I know. It's like, you son of a gun. All right. Coach Harmon wants to know, do you have ways to get the ball to your blocking back, either passing or direct snap for a wedge?
We give it to our blocking back. Let me back up. Wedge was almost the biggest headache for me trying to run wedge.
Why's that?
We just couldn't run it. Being that far back, we couldn't run it. And so we had an answer to it for our blocking back. We changed the formation up a little bit. So it's kind of hard to give him the ball with him being that close. So we had a formation we called Georgia. And nothing's original, man. We all steal stuff from everybody else.
I don't think you're a football coach if you don't steal.
God, you have to. Anybody that says this their stuff is lying.
You're exactly right.
Let me find it. This was our answer to our blocking back to get him the ball. He does all the dirty work, so I had to give him something.
You have to reward him a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. And while he's doing that, Randy says, I think Coach McKie is slowly becoming a run-heavy coach, never a power of the dark side. I'm not going to say anything bad, but I do like here's my thing. I just like offenses that score.
Right.
Like that is my thing. It doesn't matter how you do it as long as that ball is crossing the goal line. I love it. All right, so this is Georgia.
This is what I call Georgia.
Now, is that the play or is that the formation or is it like one word, like the play and the formation?
The one word, the play and the formation. This is our wedge right here.
All right.
All right, look at this funky alignment right here.
What is it? Do you have enough people on the ball? Is that an 8-yard gap?
4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 men on the line.
Is that like an 8-yard gap from the A gap?
What we do, here's the center. This guy is just inside the center to the right side. He's on his right hip. Now, what I do every game, I go to the referee before the game, and I always tell them 2 things. One, we're going to cheat off that line as much as possible till you tell us to move up. Second thing I tell the referee, don't let your part-time job call me my full-time job. Call the game correctly.
Pardon my French, but that is that big dick energy, right?
It sets the tone, though. It sets the tone.
Yes, it does. I love that, man.
You're changing oil all day long and then come and mess up my game by calling the wrong.
And I'm gonna get on my soapbox. I know that we have a reffing shortage, but it seems like the past 2 to 3 years, the quality of good refs has just gone downhill, man.
Oh, it's awful.
And
it's awful.
Yeah,
I've got
some games.
Yeah, I've got buddies of mine that they're officials, and I tell them my heart goes out to you because it's just, I don't know what it is, but I thought it was just in Louisiana.
No,
I've got friends of mine tell me all over the country it's getting worse.
Yes. So
anyway, here's our blocking back. I give him a little bit of love, and we just run a wedge with him like this. He's just right up. We just load up that backside A gap right there with 3 bodies.
Yeah, it is, man. Now, do you have any other plays out of that formation, or if I'm like scouting you and I see that, I know, oh crap, here comes the wedge. There's nothing really we can do to stop it.
That number 2 right there, the quarterback would hand it to him on a backside counter going that way.
Always,
if I have it in there or not.
Have you ever just gotten in that set and just
right there?
That's nasty, and just gone down like the entire drive like you can't stop it.
No, we basically just run. We just run that just as a change of pace.
Do y'all huddle, or are you doing no huddle so you can kind of see how the defense is going to align and make the perfect call?
Yeah, we huddle.
Okay,
we huddle. But since we don't know what the defense is going to come out in, honestly, it's just mainly for the uniformity of a huddle, eat the clock up. We spend more time studying the clock with our huddle than anything else.
Okay. Are you the one calling the plays, or have you installed the offense and then you give the play calling over to another coach?
Here's the thing. You can't find an OC that wants to be an OC in this offense. Because he can't walk around. He can't walk around with a cute little play script card on his belt loop. So, yeah.
How big is your play card? Because to me, do you have a lot of plays, and do you subscribe to a handful of plays and many formations, or do you have many formations and a small handful of play? Like, I think I just said the same thing twice in different ways. What's your look like?
Look, I'm like Paul Johnson. I keep a little flip pad in my hand, and I work the if-then stuff. That's what I work. I don't wear a headset. I can't stand wearing a headset. And I let them wear it, and they communicate to me. But I work the if-then. That's the best way I can describe it.
Do you grab a guy and come and whisper in his ear and shove him out there like Paul? And is that how you get him in, or y'all? Mm-hmm. I love that. That, to me, that was something so freaking amazing, where he's just grabbing a dude, sending it in, and then I love that. Old school.
Now we will personnel it. We have like an elephant package where I go with, well, I have a lineman that run the ball. I give them some love. Put a heavy package in and find my best lineman that can run when I want that 1 yard, and they love it. They get excited. It's not something we do a lot now. Don't get me wrong, but We have a Cheetah Package where I want my fastest guys out there. So we do spend some time personnelling people during the week, and they know when we rep in practice how to run in and run out and so forth.
Okay. So you got the elephant. That's the fridge.
Yeah.
All right, we got another question from Mr. Thomas. Do y'all shift much?
Yes, that's a good question, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Now I stole this from Rick Darlington. I'm sorry, Rick Darlington.
No, you can call him Ron. That's fine.
I don't know who the hell Ron Darlington is. Our formation shifts. So we put this in. I studied it from him, and I said, "Wow." We couldn't get people to jump on hard counts. It was the hardest thing. Every time we tried to put in hard counts, our linemen jumped.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Kids don't pay attention. That's all. Their attention span.
Yes.
So we put these formation shifts in, and so this is a unique one here. So we line up unbalanced. So the way we would call this is Maryland left, shift right is what we call it.
Maryland shift right.
Maryland left, shift right. That's all we do. And we just call 6, whatever the play is.
I'm gonna pretend like you just called 4 verts. Oh, so that's like your hard count. Like you go to shift and you want them to. I love that. And how often do you find that defenses do that? Like all the time when you shift?
No. Usually they'll do it if it's short yardage, I know they're coming, and they're pinning their ears back. That's when I'll call it.
I love that.
Now, Coach showed me this. The old school coach told me this once before. If you look up, it's second down up there. He said, "Coach, always give a hard count on second down. Steal 5 yards every time."
Shit, I'm writing that down.
He said, "Do it." And you train your kids to do it on second down. Don't do it on any other down but second down. You'll steal 5 yards every time. He said, "You'll never be in long yardage situations. Because if it's 2nd and 10, they jump. Now you're 2nd and 5.
Coaches, I'm not lying when I say that. I wrote that down on a sticky note, and I'm putting it right here. So if y'all don't write that down, that's gold right there. I love that. See, that's why right there, coaches, is why I bring all these different smarter coaches than us. Okay?
Now, it doesn't always. I'll show you the clips where they don't, they adjust to it and don't move. But you see, they were still ready to come.
Yes, they were.
And we still got 3 yards off of it. You notice right on the down, it's second down right there.
All right. So since you subscribe to that 3 yards in the cloud of dust, do you still, or 5 yards? I'm sorry. Do you still do you go for it a lot on 4th down? Is that play into your philosophy, or are you still that most defensive coordinator mindset, 3 yard or 3 downs and then punt?
Yeah, I still punt. I mean, can't change the field position.
Coordinator out of you. Even though you changed hats, you'll still be a defensive coordinator at heart.
Oh, of course. That old adage. And plus, who was it? Bear Bryant or someone said there are 3 things that happen when you throw a football and 2 of them are bad.
Yes.
Yes.
So. Okay. Now, flip side. Because you have a unique perspective. You played running back. You were a defensive coordinator. Now, as a defensive coordinator, were you more read and react, or were you more, I'm just going to blitz and have my kids come downhill and cause a disruption?
No, I buy into traditional mindset of, reading linebackers, reading their keys, reading from guard in their back, spread teams. If we're going to key back, we work key steps and fire and go. I've never been big on just, the whole Jolie Dunn, let's just send hell into the hole, because, the defensive coordinator, the worst thing you want to have happen is you blitz and somebody exposes you on your blitz. So
it's high risk, high reward.
Right. And I want kids to learn football in its pure fashion, reading your keys, plugging gaps, playing gap control, building that wall, the whole 9.
Okay. And coming back to offense, excluding Jimmy's and Joe's, because I know that's always the answer, whatever.
Mhm.
Is there a defense that when you see on film, if you do pay attention, I know you don't when you're scouting, but on the off chance that you're watching it and you go, oh crap, this is going to give us trouble? And if it is, what defense is that?
A defense that's very good at wrong arming. They teach their kids how to really wrong arm and are really good at it and making our offense bounce. That tends to give some problems. But as always, is whoever has the market last wins.
Yes.
So the answer to that, when teams want a wrong arm, we want to sweep out of it. What's my sweep?
So is that part of your if then? Are you playing the if then while you game plan? Like you're watching it and seeing what kind of techniques they do and stuff like that, and then that's how you're building your if then play calling sheet for Fridays?
Right. You know, at one point I had a limited amount of coaches, so I didn't have a coach up in the press box. So I went old school, took one of my guys and said, walk 20 yards down the other end and tell me what they're lined up in. And he could give me the technique numbers. So whenever we got a team that wants to wrong arm a lot, so now instead of trying to get into the C gap, we're going to seal it and get outside on a sweep.
I love that.
Now it's just the same mass of humanity going one whole.
I was just thinking that, man. Student body left.
This is a beautiful one right here.
That's the old Green Bay sweep right there. Like Vince Lombardi drew it up. So are you pulling anybody, or are those the guys that I see? Are those the up backs?
Well, they should be. Now this was in a fall scrimmage here. It should have been should have had two guards pulling.
Okay.
Yeah, we pulling just like Buck sweep.
Okay. I like that.
It's just now instead of blocking down on the inside, we're sealing it to get to the outside.
And it makes it easier.
Yeah, we tell these little corners that we're gonna seal right there. And that little lettuce eater right there, we're gonna come right at it.
Yeah. Make a corner, make a tackle.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter which offense you run. I think every offensive coordinator, offensive coach always says that. Make a corner, make a tackle.
Oh God, yeah. He's not taught to do it. He's backpedaling all day long.
Yep. All right, Coach Goalie, welcome from Panama, coming to get some single wing action. Jason wrote that down just like me. Hard count only on second down. Jason, that's why you're a smart man. And Coach Harmon says, got to check out Coaches McKie and Teague. Thanks for doing these videos. Going to get the DVD soon. Coaches, if you haven't already, in the description is a link to 3 series. Coach, what break down the DVDs for us. What do they cover, each DVD cover?
The first DVD is the offensive essentials. It talks a lot about the formations, how we line up to it, what was the whole story behind coming up with the single wing. I give credit to a lot of the coaches that I got a lot of ideas from and built it from. And I give a very good description of what players fit at what positions, what type of players should you be looking for to play certain, your running backs, your certain lineman positions. The second DVD is on my primary run, the Smash, the one you saw we installed, where the mass of humanity in the whole. And I actually draw up on these DVDs on the whiteboard the traditional defenses, how to run against a 4-4, 4-3, 3-4, bear, double eagle, all that stuff. And then the last one is on the pass concept side of it, because I want to show coaches that you can throw out of the single wing. And honestly, in my opinion, and I'm a little biased in this, that you can throw out of it a lot easier than you can in other offenses, because
they're not expecting it.
Not expecting it into a high school quarterback. I was in the air raid before, and all I heard was tempo, tempo, throw the grass. Well, in the single wing, you throw it as a receiver wide open. And so, but that's what's on the three DVD sets. And I go in a lot of great detail as to how to adjust off certain things, what plays protect the other plays and things like that. The one I'm most proud of is the spin I wanted to show you out of it.
Yes.
A lot of coaches have asked me about my spin series. I'm going to show you the install first, the first time we installed it. And
To me, when I hear single wing, that's what I think of, the spinner series, because that's what you see in the old black and white type videos. And what I love also about the single wing is how it gave Sean Payton, when he was off that whole year, so much trouble that he couldn't beat it, that they're now making a movie about that entire year of Sean Payton getting destroyed in football because of the single wing.
All right. So in my spin series, I tweaked it just a little bit. In the traditional single wing spin, this back right here, who would usually be right here, the wing, comes through the mesh area. Well, we had such a hard time trying to get that to happen. It was like kids were bumping into one another. We could never get the timing right. And like many coaches, I'm hard-headed enough that I said, God, if I can get this right, I know it will work, but I got to tweak something. So I was messing around on YouTube one day, and I saw a clip. Gus Malzahn ran this formation with a spin against Clemson. I don't know what year it was, but I saw it. He did it one time and got away from it. And I went, So I went into my little lab in the back of the house and worked on it. And so this is how we installed it here. I took the wing and moved him here to where it would clean up the mesh. So I always tell my coaches, tell me if you can find the football.
No. No, that looked good right there.
And off that same action, we have an option off of it. We can run option to the backside off of it.
All right, why is that guy on the left putting his hands out? Does that
the guy number 75?
No. In the backfield to the left of the quarterback, when you said set, he put his hands out like that. Is that the quarterback?
We make both of them put their hands out.
So they don't know.
They don't know who's getting the snap, who's getting the ball.
That's freaking brilliant.
They never know who's getting the ball. It could be this kid or that kid.
Oh my! Now how? Okay, the first time you put it in, I have to know. Be honest with me. Did they run into each other?
Oh, of course. Of course, they were on the ground, but they saw the deception out of it and they loved it. And this was a day one install after about a 20-minute period of putting it in.
That is a thing of beauty right there.
And the key, we tell the quarterback, you let the backs make their fakes. Now, 75 right here, he was in the way. He was supposed to have been kicking that guy out. This back here and this back would come out. We have an option off of it. He fills in, and we should be reading this guy, not blocking him. But,
How often I'm trying to think, like, Jesus, this play just broke my flipping mind. How often are you running this? Is this okay, this whole drive we're going the spin series, or do you jump in and out of the spin series within a drive itself?
We'll jump in and out of it. I have had a game where we just said we're going to go exclusively spin and work the misdirection off of it and just get downfield, because you can get the power and the deception at the same time. I think I have the game where we went straight spin all game.
And what made you, okay, if you went all game, what did you see on film or something that you're like, you know what, these guys are shit, I can't talk. These guys can't stop the spin. We're going to do this. Was that like a game plan thing, or was that after one drive you did the spin, you're like, holy crap, these guys can't stop it. Let's just stay.
It was a game planning thing. These guys could never line up right. Meaning they had no rhyme or reason for what they were doing to try to stop this offense. So basically what we did, we just went straight spin all game long. We just said, you know what, if you're going to chase ghosts, we're going to give you some ghosts to chase.
Oh, I like that.
Now, imagine
like the dumbest way to line up to this formation.
I know. I was literally stuttering trying to call the play in because I kept seeing that gap right there. They never got out of this.
Jesus.
Yeah.
God bless them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good Lord. Good call. I would not have I wouldn't have gotten out of that either. That's incredible. I mean, you can tell. Okay, so do you see a lot of teams that are not very eye disciplined, and is that like, okay, let's go to the spinner series?
Yeah. I hate to say this because it bothers me being a football purist, but there are so many coaches who I don't think spend enough time, on defense. There's some great coaches out there. Don't get me wrong. I don't want that taken out of context, but you see it when we're playing teams and they're not very gap sound. They're just chasing, and that's the first thing I look at in this offense. I'm watching their linebackers, see what they're doing, if they're reading their keys or anything. If they have any keys, and more times than not, they're just standing there flat-footed.
Yep.
And that plays right in their hands. But I wanted to show that because I got some questions on that in the Single Wing Nation group I'm in. And of course, we're having a DVD series out. I'm like, hey, I gotta go buy the DVD.
Heck yeah, man. And guys, again, seriously, DVD, the link is in the description below if you want to learn how to run this effectively. Let's see. John, is Coach McKie joining our cult of the single wing? Just run power. I just love football. And I know that I've had a lot. I know I give a lot of shit to the wing tee and stuff like that, but that is in jest. I just love football. And I do like, to me, football now has kind of gotten like political. You have your air raid set, you have your single wing set, you have your wing tee set, and they don't like each other for some reason. I just like good football. And if I'm watching like this Saturday, I'm so thankful. I enjoyed watching Illinois run the wide zone up and down Nebraska just because good football is good football.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what philosophy you follow, like Coach right here, that spinner series, I love it. Because again, like you said, you can always find out who's coached well on defense by their eyes. And if they're in the backfield, I know you're like, okay, boys, let's go single wing spinner series because we're about to eat them up.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. All right, let's go. Coach wants to know, is your quarterback always directly behind the center? We line our quarterback and tailback, halfback in the G gaps and let the spinner snap between them. Whomever the run is designed for will flow towards the ball. Are you the same way, or do you do something different?
We do a little bit of both, believe it or not. Coach is right. Typically in the traditional single wing, they're separated. You have one lineup between the center and the guard gaps. And going back to what I said earlier, you teach the center to snap the ball at an angle. What we do is typically we find out who we're playing. We see how aggressive they are off the line. If we can get to our gap, and that C gap with the halfback being directly behind the center, we'll put him right behind the center. It just makes it easier that week. A lot of teams will move it over a little bit because it gives you that advantage to get to the hole a lot quicker. But what we found out is that it doesn't really matter for us.
Okay, and let's say I get your DVDs because they're freaking great, and if you don't get them, I hope you never run the ball well again. And I like them, but I feel as if there's something missing. Like I want an expert to come in and teach me this offense. Is there a way to get in contact with you so you could talk to that coach and help them with the fine tune stuff? Like how do coaches get in touch with you to be like, hey, Mark, bring your Alabama self, Louisiana, but we'll call a spade, Alabama, because you were there for what, 30 years?
38 years.
There you go, man. Can you come and install this? Help me install it at my school. Is there any way we can get in contact with you?
Yes. I can give my cell. My cell number is 870.
Don't dox yourself because you have no idea. The best way, you said you had a Facebook group.
Yes, I have a Facebook group. You're right. I have a Facebook group.
And the only reason why I do that is because I've done it before and I've gotten some weird ass phone calls that I've had to block. Is it Single Wing Football Nation?
It's Single Wing Football Nation. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Also, I'm about to drop. if you look in the description, coaches, there's his coach's personal Facebook profile and his Twitter handle. So
Twitter is probably the best way to get in contact. I spend more time on Twitter.
I think we all do. I think Twitter's the new message boards.
Yeah. Okay. I network with more coaches on Twitter than I do anything.
I say it all the time. Yeah, the amazing thing with Twitter is you're one tweet away from having your life changed.
Oh God, yeah.
Just tweeting out to your heroes and stuff. So those are, I just dropped them in the comments. And I know I'll put you on the spot, but you would go and help other coaches, right?
Oh, of course. Yes. I would love to be able to come in and help someone install it. Like in the spring, come in, a few days, it's in.
And then you'll be destroying teams and making me hate that I helped the single wing. That's how much you know I love y'all guys. I just love football in general. If you are a single wing guy, because I have found the best thing to do is if you want to learn something, you bring somebody in that's an expert. You don't try to piece it together through YouTube or Coach Huey or stuff like that. And like you did, you reached out to other coaches that run this stuff, and you're like, hey, I want to run it. This is what we're doing. Can you help me? And that's the beautiful thing I think with this profession is we're like, yes, here you go.
And the thing I tell coaches that I found out in going to clinics and, back when everybody used to go to Glaziers and sit around and, in clinic, the way it used to be done, there are more schools like what I encountered than there are the top 1%.
Yeah.
And I would sit around and talk to coaches for hours and they would go, man, how do you do it when I got 3 coaches and 37 kids on the team and I'm only counting on 13 of them, they're playing both sides of the ball. And I'm trying to run the spread and we just can't, you talk to coaches like that and they're in a similar place that I was in. When I came to Bolton, it was horrible. And you give these kids something they can do and you find something they can run and they buy into it. And I think more coaches I've spoken with who have reached out to me on Twitter, who've reached out to me on Facebook, they're in the same position. They're wanting to know, look, how is that working? In 2018, Coach, when we put this in, we were finishing somewhere in the top 15 in the state in rushing in the entire state of Louisiana, 1A through 5A. In 2019, we were in the top 5 in the entire state. By week 5, we were averaging 11.2 yards a carry in this offense. It was crazy. And now, granted, the competition got a little tougher as the season went on, but we finished that year with over 7-some-odd yards a carry. And when you see that level of success, it gives teams like what I took on and other teams, it gives you a chance to be competitive, give you a chance to win. So that would be my testimony to coaches.
Yes, and I agree. If you don't have the Jimmies and Joes, you got to do something different. Yeah. And I promise you, from researching and talking to defensive guys, they don't know how to stop this. Because if you watch the clinics, because that's what I do. When I go to clinics or in the offseason, I'm looking to see what defensive coaches are doing to stop, the spread, because that's what I love. But you never see them talk about how to stop wing T or the single wing or unbalanced or anything like that because they don't know. And like the film you showed, a lot of coaches don't know how to line up to your offense.
Yeah, when I used to clinic, it's funny. I was a defensive coach and I was hard-headed. My head coach used to say, okay, we're running a split 4-4 and I want you to go sit in on this meeting and that meeting. I go, okay, all right. I would leave and go sit in on the offensive meetings because the offensive coaches would tell you what they hate.
Yeah.
And every one of them would say, I hate. Really, I heard it from the double wing people, coaches that go against double wing. I hate that damn double wing. I can't stand it. I don't want to play them anymore. Well, then I heard the same thing about single wing. I go, So, because it's hard to emulate this in practice.
It is. It really is. And I'm glad I don't have to go up against you. But, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. Coaches, again, in the description is the DVD series. Get it. You will learn a lot. At Twitter, Facebook, all of that, Coach. Before we leave, anything else?
No, man. I just want to thank you first and foremost for reaching out to me to help me put the single wing out there. There are single wing coaches out there, man. That we're a select group. it's almost like the hidden society out there, but
yes, it is.
There are coaches who are interested in it. I can't thank you enough. As I told you before, man, I was a subscriber of yours. I enjoy watching your content. It was back when I was a DC and I was in a Franklin system, and I would actually tell our coach, like, man, you need to subscribe to this guy. He's got some nice stuff on here. I think it started when you were going over the stack formation. And so anyway, man, I can't thank you enough. I thank all the coaches that tune in and ask questions, man. I am more than willing to impart what I've learned from other coaches with this. And if anybody's interested in me coming to your school and helping you install this, I am more than open to it.
All right. And the best way to do that is through Twitter, and the Twitter account is in the description below. Coaches, I hope y'all have a great, great weekend, and I will talk to you later.